there's an interesting one. You can see the size. This is where the river was. Now we're a few k's off the Ashburton River. This was the height of it in February 1997. The advantage of a camel. You can see the saddle up there. We got it stuck in a big flood like this. We just sit in the saddle, we'd be dry. Okay, the interesting one about this time too, February 97. That's when I was just starting out with camels back in Carnarvon. Interesting time, it was probably one of my favourite years. Anyway, pretty glad that rain didn't get to there the other day. All right boys, let's keep marching. Where it is, the bed. Beautiful Ashburton River. Got these beautiful river gums over here. And just here's that lovely waterhole. Now we're going to go fill these up now. We've got to find the freshest part. This is beautiful down here. Beautiful clear water. It's about the best drinking water you're going to get when you're out on a camel expedition, unless you find a recent rain in a rock hole or something like that that's built up. But this has had time to settle. Beautiful and clear. You can see where we walked here, we've just stirred it up a little bit. So once again, just holding that end down under the water there. This water's fine to drink. As I said, something's living in it, it's good to drink. If you're not used to drinking wild bush water, you know, maybe you can get tablets and stuff to put in it, clean the water up, but I like it pure and fresh like this. And running by that, things living in the water hole, nice and clear. Seeing birds come in here and drink it. Cattle haven't stirred it up, they've got the bore up there, so they haven't come in here and put all their crap in here. This water to me is as good as you're ever going to get. See all these little fish in here. Now, cool thing about that, even though they're tiny little fish like that, you'd have a throw net and get them over there. You can cook them up like French fries. I've had this before out on the Fink River. Got a few of these little fish with a throw net and made a nice little meal. We don't have a throw net out here because we never expected to be going fishing. Take a look at this place. It's beautiful. And when you've been walking through all that stony country and all that hard country and hills, when you get to a place like this, it's absolute paradise. The animals are up there on the bank, they're enjoying it, sitting under the shade of the river gum trees. Got some good pickup there, plenty of water. We've got our 4 things that we need when we're walking camels. Sand for them to sit in, good feed for the camels, fresh water and beautiful shade. So we've been going to stay here a little bit. We've been here a couple of days now. Tomorrow they're expecting a little bit of rain, so if it does come, we're going to pull up there a bit for another day. But if the weather's looking good, we're out of here and we're on our way to Parabadoo. Rightio, that's 3 of them done now. Got all the buckets to do because we give the camels a drink of this too because they love fresh water, the old camels. But anyway, even though we've got here for a rest, camel drivers, there's always work to be done. Saddles to look after, water to top up, and camp to sort out. Anyway, no rest for the wicked. All that talk about little fish, it's made me a little bit hungry. Okay, so what we're going to do, a few ways you can catch them. You've got a short, thin, narrow water hole, you can splash them up on the bank, but because we've got such a wide one, the old mozzie net, we're going to go down and see what we can get out of this. See if we can catch ourselves a few of those tiny little fish. They'll mix good with rice later on. Right, let's see how we go. Well, that's perfect. Just a simple stick. We can use this. It's got to cut a few of these little bits of branches off here. We can use this to spread the net and attempt to catch ourselves some high quality 1-inch fish. Anyway, get down there and have a crack. Okay, so first thing you want to do, spot your fish. Now, we've seen them over there before. You can see there's a few sticks and branches and things like that. Gives them something to hide under when the birds come along. Look, we saw that pelican in here yesterday, so there's a good chance he's having a little nibble on those fish, and roughly that's where he was. Just walking along the bank here. So I'm just going to move a little branch till I get a little bit of a sign but maybe where the fish are. Here's a couple of little circle areas here. So we can see them just in over here. So now it's a matter of setting up the net. It's a little bit of a trial and error, this one. I mean, it's a pretty good net. Good for catching little fish. We'll see how it goes anyway. I'm just going to set my net up like this. I'll put one end, just hook it on there. The other end I'll put all the way down here. Then I've got this open end of the net. So it's a matter of making a bit of a trial and error plan. And if you're in a survival situation, you haven't got all the tools to use, you can use whatever you got, and sometimes it works. So my best plan here at the moment would be to set it up along the bank, and on the bottom part of it I can put some sand. So I'm basically making like a big whale's mouth. Then I can go up the end of the creek and do what we call a fish muster and see how many we get in it. You can see here I've got a nice little bit of a trap here going on. That one untwisted. As I said, I can put some sand on that end there, use this net like this, and when the fish go in, whoosker it up. Now this is the plan. Let's see how it works. You can see all the fish up here. They're all looking this way. They know there's a bit of danger. Here's my deepest little point. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to set my net up here, spread it out a little bit. Okay, that stick should float. I'll get the back end of the net. Look, we've already got a couple of fish in here already. Okay, look, here you go. Yeah, tiny little fish in here. Okay, so without even using it, I've already trapped one of these. Now it's not much of a feed, but if you get a fair few of them, you can eat them like French fries. Now it's time for the fish muster. I'm just going to work the fish back in this way a little bit. Okay, let's see what we got out of that. Here we go. A couple of these tiny little fish, look in here. Here they are. Got a good swag of them here. You can find in the net. Look at this. Okay. Plenty of food here. And it's enough for a survival situation. Okay, if you want to go and get more, you want them to stay alive, you can dig a little hole like this. Get some water in there and put your fish in there. This will keep them good until you're finished catching your fish. So there's enough in here for a feed. Pretty simple, just your simple mosquito net, bit of a stick, and finding the right spot in the creek, and you've got a good little part there full of some nice little fish. As I said, mixed with rice, it's going to make a good meal. You've got a bit of Worcestershire sauce. Doesn't seem like much, but like I said, when you get a whole heap of them, it's enough to keep you alive. You can see in the hole there, we got plenty of tucker. There we go, just a few. Rightio, another little one over here. Now we've got a whole heap at the moment, so this is going to be enough. Anyway, wild creek fishing. Well, that's it, your basic net. Now just need a couple of goes of this. We're not going to drain the whole creek out because you don't want to take everything out of here, just what you need, especially when you're in a survival situation. The reason I'm doing this is because when you're out on these trips, don't have any fresh meat, these things can give you a lot of protein, okay, give you that energy to keep ploughing your way through. And it's also a good way to touch up on your survival skills. Because walking camels out in the wild, you can be out here a long time, okay, you can be miles and miles, in fact you can be hundreds of miles away from the nearest town or anything. A couple of things like this are handy. It's a matter of just being a little bit inventive with what you got, and away you go. Some of the fish have come past the net, so we're just walking them back up the creek nice and slowly. Now, one thing about these little creatures, when they take panic, they always look for somewhere to hide. Okay? Works with big fish, works with all fish. So what we're doing at the moment, just walking them up. You can even leave this set up here for a little bit, do a few laps of the creek, go and give yourself a bit of a wash up, come back, and hopefully you've got a few fish in your net. So we'll just muster a few in. That'll give us enough to head up there, give ourselves some nice lunch. Another couple of little fish in there for us to put on the coals. Get our little mates, got a bucket here, put them in there, we'll keep them fresh. Got a few, enough. Still plenty more out there in the creek, okay. I know it's a bit of a sad scene, but living in this situation, you've got to survive. Now out here, it's not about the size of the catch you get, okay? It's about what gets you through to the next day. Now I know there's not a lot in there, but things like this, if you get stuck in a position like this, can keep you alive for a very long time, okay? There's enough fish in here that if I was stuck in a bad situation, the only water hole I got and had to live here just on those fish, I've probably got enough in this creek to last me a week. Okay, that'll give me enough energy to get on through to the next spot. And anyway, you always got to top up with a bit of fresh food when you're out here. It's so good for you, gives you the energy, and like I said, just that little bit of protein there will be enough to get me through to the next spot. Now the main thing is, at the end of it, we didn't put a hole in our mozzie net. Not that there's many mozzies out here, but it sure comes in handy for the flies. So I'll give that one a wash up, take these back to camp, and we'll go and have some lunch. So we've got the rice going over there. We've got the frying pan at the moment with a few fish in it. Now a couple of things we can use. A little plate like this. Got a spoon. A little bit of flour I'm going to put in there. A bit of salt. And of course, oil. Olive oil. Now I'm just going to put a little bit of flour in this pot here. This is for the fish. Same as you do any fish, even though these are just little fish. Pour them all into there. Give them a little bit of a flour up there, just to make them that little bit crunchy. What we call bush French fries. Okay, there they go. Now, bit of oil on the pot. Like a bit of olive oil with me fish. Pot in the coals. Now we've got some hot coals going, been going there for a couple of days. Little pinch of salt, just to give them that little bit extra flavour there, and that'll do it. Now we're just going to heat the oil up now, and of course, your bush table. Right, we'll get that oil nice and steamy there, just a simple wok. There they are, little fish. Now it's not a bad meal. I've had this before in Central Australia. Camped out by the Fink River with a bunch of camels. Now it was so beautiful out there, we only had enough food for the weekend, but we decided to stay longer, and these kept us alive for a very long time. They're quite good. Into the oil they go. Our little bush French fries. Now there's enough there, and like I said, plenty more down there in the creek if you had to stay here a while. You're in a situation of survival. This is one way of doing it. Now the good old pelican yesterday, he certainly gave him away. Give him a little bit of a stir up there. As you can see there, it's enough for a simple little stir fry. Anything you need. got a bit of Worcestershire sauce, or what we like to call Worcestershire sauce, soy sauce, even better on top. For me, I like my bland food, bit of a caveman diet. And that's a simple little fish meal out here in the middle of Australia. Well, that's it. Just quite simply cooked. Now, one thing with these fish, you don't have to gut them. Use the guts, the eyeballs, the brains and all. They're quite crunchy. Like I said, a little bit like bush French fries. Now the rice is done. Dip a little bit of rice there. And then on with the fish. Very simple bush meal, this one. Very healthy. Okay, put a little bit of that oil on top there for a little bit extra flavour. Now if you want a bit of salt, you can use a bit of salt there. But other than that, that's a simple stir fry out here in the bush. That's good.